Quite often, the mind, the moon, is how you think and feel about your life, but it also can represent the kind of temporary way that you are portraying your reality as a being, right? Like some people say, oh, she's really optimistic. She's really grumpy. That person's really emotionally stable. A person thinks a lot. That person's a feeler, all that stuff. That's very moon stuff. That's a temporary way that you operate, your operating system. The moon, again, the reflector of the sun, doesn't have any intrinsic light of its own, right? Think about that for a minute. It is only reflecting the light of the sun.
Lunatic astrology.
Welcome today to learning about the moon through the 12 houses of the zodiac in your natal chart. We're going to go today through houses 1 to 12 and what happens when you're born and the moon is placed in that 1 to 12 houses. We're going to ask you to use the whole sign house system for accuracy. In order to do that, you can cast your chart in whole sign houses using my free video tutorial. I'll put a link to that in the description box below. And the moon, what is the moon that we're talking about? Like, you think of it as, of course, your new moon and full moon ceremonies, but it's a lot more than that. It is the archetypal energy of your mind. It's the part of you that thinks and feels. It is your energy of your reception of life through your emotions and your mental field. You know how we can say we have a full cup or half cup when we look at life? How do you see it? Subjective well-being. That is a lot of what your moon is about. When we talk about spiritual enlightenment and the quieting of the mind, we're talking about the stillness of the moon. The moon is a part of you that needs to think. The mind is a servant, but sometimes the mind takes over and then all we do is think and we worry and we're angry and we contemplate things in ways that put us on a hamster wheel of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking. That's your moon. Of course, your moon is your mother. Of course, your moon is connected to safety, home, and nest and nurturance. But it is also that part of you that is always busy in the mind, experiencing reality. So today in our video, we're going to talk about what it's like to have that moon in any of the 12 houses in your chart. We're not talking about moon in the signs, okay? We're talking about moon in the houses. Moon in the signs is another video. Now, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Laurie Lothian. I am a Western tropical zodiac astrologer, and I'm using the whole sign house system. And in today's video, this is one of my teaching drops that I'm beginning to put out. If you haven't seen the sun through the houses, it was extremely popular. A lot of people loved it. So go check out the sun through the houses, and you'll see that in the description box below. The link to that, or Stella, my amazing video editor, ding, can put a link to that up here so you can see what we're talking about. So there will be a series of planets through the houses, and let's get started talking about the moon. Welcome, by the way, if you're new to my channel. I am so glad you're here, and if you are one of my regulars, thanks for being back. Thank you for bearing with my tongue implant, dental implant, my dentures, all of this stuff. We're kind of laughing. Laurie got a new Shure mic and tried to set it up with a lot of complications, a lot of problems with the Riverside recording studio. It took me a month to get it right, and a lot of you were very concerned for my health because I couldn't say sun without saying thun, and it sounded like I had a lisp and a lot of sound, and that was just technical problems. So thank you for your concern. That is not how I normally sound. Hopefully today's microphone is doing a lot better job after a lot of troubleshooting and audio engineers coming into my home to help. All right, so let's get going. This is being recorded on July 15, 2026. You might be watching this anytime in the future. You might be watching this 10 years from now. So I might not even be on the planet then, but if you are, hopefully you'll get value from this. Now, I'm not going to bring the chart up for you and circle the sky with moon here, moon there, because it's just houses. But when you were born, there was one whole sign house in your first house, one whole sign house in your second. In other words, if you were born as a Aries rising, then all of your first house, 0 to 29 degrees, is Aries, and Taurus is all of your second house. That's what we mean by whole sign houses. Number 2, we are talking about your rising sign. There's a problem if you don't have a birth time. In order to use this tool, you have to do your moon is in which house from your sun, right? So say you have your sun in Aries, right? And when you just rotate the dial to put your sun in as if your sun is in the first house, you could do that and say that, okay, then Taurus is my second house and Gemini is my third house, and Cancer is my fourth house. And wherever your moon falls relative to your sun, you can try that as well. That is also lunar phases, by the way, which will be another video. But if you don't know your time of birth, you can always get a rectification done by an astrologer. I used to do them, but Google natal chart rectification astrologers and find some out there that you really like. That's the best suggestion I have for you. All right, so the moon, again, the reflector of the sun, doesn't have any intrinsic light of its own, right? Think about that for a minute. It is only reflecting the light of the sun. So the sun is eternal, unchanging, unborn. It is your spiritual essence. When you were born, your sun and the sign it sits in and the house it sits in is all about who you really are deep underneath, the role you play in life. And if you think about that, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because we all know that when someone passes away, the spirit or the soul or something leaves the body. And we also know, if you believe in past lives and near-death experiences, all that kind of stuff, that we are not just this one body, one time, one place. So the animating force of the body that brings it to life and, is essential vitality and life force of who you are, the consciousness that goes beyond this life, is likely connected to the sun. That is the cosmology that I use. And so I'm an Aries sun. I'm made of fire, right? My solar essence is fire, and it's also cardinal and all of that. My sun, my spiritual being. Whereas the rising sign is your ascendant avatar character in the simulation. Just like if you're going to play a video game and you have to choose a character before you start the game, and you give your character attributes, hair colors, dispositions, super talents. That simulation avatar character that you're born to play is your rising sign. Okay, the sun is your deep essence and who you really are. Quite often, the mind, the moon, is how you think and feel about your life, but it also can represent the kind of temporary way that you are portraying your reality as a being, right? Like some people say, oh, she's really optimistic, she's really grumpy, that person's really um emotionally stable, a person thinks a lot, that person's a feeler, all that stuff. That's very moon stuff. That's a temporary way that you operate, your operating system. That's probably a better way of putting it. If the avatar, your rising sign, is your character in the simulation, and it's an identity that you're cloaking yourself with, like a meat suit, a mask, a persona, the spiritual essence of you is the sun, then the operating system is the moon. And we operate through our thinking, feeling complex. Right? So we want to look at that moon as how we are operating in this reality. So when I go through the houses for each of you, 1 of 12 houses, please use whole sign. I'll be talking about how your operating system works. I'll be talking about your safety and security needs. I'll be talking about your mother relationship, and I'll be talking about where home is for you. Being at home in one's own operating system is the same as being at home, in a house, in a place to live, in a place of safety and shelter, which is also the lunar qualities. So let's start off with moon in the first house. Your mother is very important to you. Moon in the first house, you have a very significant relationship to the matrilineal lineage and your mother in particular, or whoever raised you like a mother. And it's interesting because the matriarchal energy in the first house can bring a very strong relationship to a matrilineal character. It could be grandma, it could be mom, and you might feel very defined by that human being. This lifetime is something that says the matrilineal part of my reality is important to who I am, but it can be negative as well. Let's say that moon was like conjunct Saturn opposite Pluto, square Mars. That's going to be a difficult mother relationship. But the difficult mother relationship defines you in this life, but defines your character in the simulation, right? Your ascendant is a character in the simulation being defined strongly by the relationship to mother figures in your life. The moon in the first house above the ascendant. So you have a circle wheel, and then you have ascendant and descendant, eastern and western horizon. Above the ascendant, when I say that, is like towards the 12th whole sign house. So from your ascendant degree towards the 12th house. So imagine your ascendant degree is 15 degrees of a sign. The 15 degrees above, north of, You know what I mean? Look up towards the 12th house is your prenatal zone of influence. It's also sometimes connected to past lives, like a 12th house placement. Therefore, your mother relationship, if she's above your ascendant, is something connected to karmic relationship patterns that you guys are working out together. And it may involve stories about the mother just before you were born. And then you need an astrologer to look at that. But if your moon is above the ascendant and it's conjunct Pluto, your mother may have had a near-death experience before you were born, lost a family member before you were born, had a tragic or traumatic event happen before you were born. So it gives you the disposition of the mother in the prenatal period as you were being conceived and gestated. Ultimately, the mother in the other side of the ascendant down, from the ascendant downward, this is a mother who is in front of you. And I want you to play with a fun tool. I want you to take the degree of your ascendant. Let's say it's 15 degrees. And let's imagine that the mother is at 20 degrees of your first house, the moon. I want you to think of you being 5 years old. Say your ascendant's at 15 degrees and the mother's at 25 degrees. I want you to think of being 10 years old. See where we're going? The distance between your ascendant and the moon in that first house is an age at which something important happened to you vis-a-vis your mother. And the same would be if your son was in this down part towards the second house of your first house between the ascendant and downward. That would be the events that happen in your life related to the father. And what we're using is solar arc time and progressing everything a degree a year. So if you're, you were born with a 1 degree rising sign and your mother was at 29 degrees, the moon of that same sign in the first house, obviously something important happened with your mother when you were 28 years old. Okay? That's a fun hack for you guys. I hope you enjoy that. Remember that your mother will define you in this life, whether she's above or below the ascendant and descendant axis. She's looking over at your marriage house, the 7th house. That's problematic. It's only problematic if you are somebody who needs to overcome the wound of your mother relationship. I mean, no one has a perfect mama relationship. Let's talk reality. But if you haven't healed that mother relationship, and if it's still plaguing you and you feel angry and judgmental or wounded and all of that afflicted by the mother, then you're going to have that translate to your marriage partnerships. You're going to choose marriage partnerships that are just not ideal because you're projecting the mother wound onto your marriage partner. So work with a therapist, a psychologist, a shaman, or a healer and clear this up. Otherwise, you're going to notice that your mother relationship bleeds through to a long-time significant love story. Lastly, if your mother's in the first house, the moon energy, then maybe your 4th house is very important to you. Maybe things to do with your nest, your home. It's almost like your highest ambition, your highest achievement can be to find the best home, the nicest home, the safest home. Like this is a life in which the word finding my home is important. Of course, home is where the heart is. It might be the ultimate lesson. But keep that in mind, that you'll be preoccupied with that. You'll be preoccupied with the idea, I want to be an old person in a home. I want to feel safe in a home. Ultimately, I need to think about retirement in a beautiful home or a safe home. Home is extraordinarily key for you. This is your mind. So to be a clear-minded person, calm, still, equanimous, you need to heal that mother relationship, that turbulence with mother, whether she's alive or dead. Someone said in a comment, well, how do I heal my dad relationship? He's dead. It doesn't matter. The healing happens in you, through you, as you. You don't have to heal with the person. You have to forgive within yourself the mistakes that you made, that they made, and that the karmic pattern here was a lesson. So ultimately, the healing of the mother issue also stills the mind, and you'll have less mental turbulence regarding the stories of your reality because the character in the simulation will be calmer. Think about a moon on a lake, guys. Think about a moon that is like on a still lake. You see that lunation, let's say a full moon, perfectly crystal clear, calm reflection of the lunation. And so you want that calm, still, placid lake of mental resilience and stillness. And the moon is a mother. So if she's in your first house, you've got to work on how the character felt growing up with that mother, grandmother, auntie, whoever was a primary maternal force in your life as a child. Moon in the second house. If your moon is in the second house, you're probably somebody who's going to prioritize money, but have a lot of emotional stuff around it as well. This is your earnings, resources, and possessions. Of course, moon represents safety and nurturance and home. So one of the things with people born with the moon in the home is that they want a home. They need a home and they want a beautiful home. I hear you. Who doesn't need a home? Well, I say beautiful home only if your moon is in, like, say, Libra or Taurus. But generally speaking, second house people prioritize a need for safety and security to possess a home. This is the I have house. I have loon. I have lunation. I have home. I have nest. I have nurturance in my life. This is money. You want to be safe financially. You're going to be prioritizing financial security as a goal, but also as a problem. Because when you don't have it, when the ups and downs, we all have ups and downs in money. And when your ups and downs come, it can really destabilize you. And you might have a lot of fixation on making sure you're safe. And you could be one of those people who could save to eternity and still not feel safe. So again, what do you do with that contentment or lack of contentment, that feeling and thinking about money? Well, of course, I already expressed your mother is the moon and any matrilineal person who raised you. And so get on board with that mother relationship. It could have been difficult. Make sure that you heal it. You have to think about the deeper root energy of matter, right? The material realm energy is connected to mother energy. I can't count the clients I've seen over the years, guys, and they have a really bad mother relationship and they have no money. They are wounded. Like one guy adopted by his mother, real mother, birth mother, and then um, his adoptive mother was cold, withholding, judgmental, and then that mother had more children naturally, and he felt like he was the duck, with the swans or whatever, the ugly duckling who didn't fit in because the mother loved up her own more than him, right? So there's a lot of wounding there, and it was so funny when his birth mother got in touch with him for the very first time when he was an adult in his 50s. He began to heal his mother's story, and then he began to heal his money story. So heal your mother's story, heal your money story is my advice for those of you with the moon in the second house. As soon as you do that, the code is, oh, my money's flowing. I'm having more. I'm possessing more. I'm saving more money. Now, when the moon is in the second house, this is a house of your voice, and the moon is the quality of nurturance, of safety. And so you might have that kind of way of speaking to people, you know what I mean? Like a mother bear or a mama bear, mother hen. You might want to imbue your speech with qualities of nurturance, support, supportive, emotionally intelligent speech. It's not a bad placement for someone who would aspire to be a therapist, a guide, a coach, or a counselor, because the way you speak can be already lunar. It can already have that quality. The moon can represent your intuitive psychic nature as well. And you may use that as a career path. Some of you, moon in the second house, will lean into wanting to use your intuition and your emotional intelligence in order to earn money in some way. Obviously, the moon will be directly opposite your 8th house, right? Which is that chunky money house, and also the occult mysteries and stuff. And depending on the phase of your moon, if your moon was balsamic, that means the last waning crescent, you're probably very psychic and able to use your psychic abilities professionally or just for your own intuition about money. So the balsamic moons are particularly psychic by nature. That is the last fingernail before the moon goes dark. Fingernail crescent moon. The kind of person, when the moon is in the second house, it can keep secrets. The moon is looking across at the house of secrets, and you're good at the keeping people's privacy, keeping your own secrets if you need to. I'm not saying that you're duplicitous. I'm saying you might be private. You might have a very private way of approaching life. You're not about to share everything about yourself with the world, but you also can probably hold other people's secrets when asked. And so you have sort of a natural ability to do that in this lifetime. The other element of having the moon in the second house is that you're really going to prioritize the matters of the 5th in this lifetime, which is creativity, art, the muse, being a parent. Okay, most people, when they think, oh, I'm going to be a parent, they want to look at the moon in the 5th, but the 5th house is 10th from the 2nd. And so really what it means is that you put it on a pedestal. You want to achieve, accomplish, you want to outpicture in your visible actions that I am a parent. And so a lot of you will want to have children, and you will make it a goal in this lifetime. Whether it happens or not is irrelevant. It's emotional disposition to the thinking and feeling nature that says, I would mind having an accomplishment called children or parenting. It doesn't have to be your own children. You'd be just happy parenting your second husband's kids or your whatever. So there is something, or first, I don't know, whatever. You got kids from someone else's family, you're happy to do that too. So you will want also to be entrepreneurial if you can. You would do very well as an entrepreneur. Okay. So if moon in the second house fits you as an entrepreneurial beast already, congratulations. It's because your self-starter, independent business, entrepreneurial nature, that is your 5th house. And that is where you're going to go, yeah, I feel good here. No one's the boss of me. Art, creativity, inspiration, the muse, fun, joy, play, and pleasure. Certainly, you want life to feel enthusiastic. You might want to develop hobbies in this lifetime and also capitalize on them as a professional entrepreneurial energy as well. Most people with the moon in the second do have hobbies in this life in their lifetime. Other people never have hobbies. So, you could be an accountant, but your hobby is you paint watercolors or something. So when the moon is in the second house, you'll notice that you are inclined to find an enjoyable pastime that you would call a hobby. And sometimes you guys create a business out of that as well. Depends on much more in your chart than what I said. Romantic love is important. Obviously, it's the fifth house. You aspire to be in a romantic love story. You don't just want to be married like a traditional marriage, like an arranged wedding. No, no, no. You want to have, I fell in love. I'm in love. This is my romantic life. Look at me. You probably like to watch rom-coms if you're a woman, or chick flicks about romantic love. And with the moon there, if your moon is afflicted, like your mother and you have a terrible relationship and you haven't worked through it, or even if she's passed, you haven't healed yourself, then you're going to continue to have some bobbles in your long-term committed love stories, your romantic stories anyway. You might date the wrong person. It doesn't have to be committed, just dating the wrong person, for example, or finding yourself in a pattern of like attracting like narcissists. Say your mother was abusive or controlling or narcissistic. Well, look for patterns that you seem to replicate the mother's story in the partners you choose. That's quite common when the moon is in the second house. And then once you see the pattern breaking, stay away from it, right? Because you've maybe healed something there and you don't need that pattern anymore. It's not useful in your life to keep replicating my wounded mother's story in my romantic choices. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear you moon in the whole sign second house people. Is that resonating for you? Tell me if any of that makes sense. I'd love to hear back. All right, continuing on to the moon in the third house. Your third house is your siblings. You are going to be very invested in siblings in this life, cousins, aunts, and uncles, extended kinfolk, but primarily siblings. This is indicating that your sibling relationship plays an extremely important role in this lifetime. It's not like you have a need to mother them, but you could. Sometimes when the moon is in the third house, you play a maternal role to the siblings you have, whether they're older or younger than you. It really doesn't matter. And if that has happened to you, let me know in the comments. Moon in the third house, you have a natural ability to use your skills-based learning and teaching. You might even find that it's because your emotional satisfaction is there when you're able to write, you're able to teach, you're able to communicate something that's important to you, because your feeling, thinking nature is invested in speaking, writing, communicating, teaching, and learning. Your satisfaction and emotional contentment in learning is going to say, I need to be able to use what I learn. You don't want to learn some kind of like philosophy of the ancient Greeks. You want to learn how to do something. And when you teach, you want to teach how to do something. No surprise that my moon is in my third house. And that's what I do. I teach you how to fish. I teach you how to use astrology in my Sky Reader class every single September. And if you're getting this video before Sky Reader starts, check it out. It's in the description box below. The moon is your intuitive nature. And this is the house of the scrying, divining, the oracles, the tea leaders, and the crystal ball gazers. The third house is the everyday oracle and the synchronicity place. And a lot of your emotional satisfaction comes from following the chains of synchronicities and the signs and the omens of life. And you may be inclined to consult psychic readers in your life, but you may also become that. You could open up that, especially if your moon is balsamic, the last crescent moon before it goes dark. Those are the natural moons of the witchy ways. And in the third house, that moon often outpictures as using that power to create your own life, but also that psychic power to help other people. And the moon in the third house, sibling-wise, if you have a good relationship with your mother, you'll have a good relationship with siblings in general. If you have a bad relationship with mom, you might have been competing for mother's attention over a sibling and feeling left out. The third house can be the sibling just one younger than you in birth order, okay? The one that was born just after you. Look to that relationship for where that sibling wants to mother you, or you want to mother that sibling one younger than you. Ask yourself if it's a healthy co-nurturant and energy, or if it's got codependence with that sibling one younger than you. Again, The sibling one younger than you will have a very powerful and very positive relationship to you as long as you've healed your own internal conflict with your mother's story and how she raised you, and or the mother figure that raised you. And I have to laugh. My sister, one younger than me, I tried to like strangle her with her bib when I was little because she took my dominant spot as the firstborn. But now she and I are very close. So there's a lot to be said about letting time heal all wounds. And a sibling, one younger than you, don't give up. It actually goes back to your own mother wound. You heal that wound, you heal that sibling relationship. Travel. You love travel because it brings emotional satisfaction. Short distance travel, a getaway weekend, travel to another state or province in your country. Travel itself is an emotionally nurturing thing for you to do. Okay, that's the vibration there. Of course, the moon is looking across the way at the ninth house, so you do not mind long distance and foreign and international travel. That's good for you. And pilgrimages, you can try that as well. The moon is witnessing your ninth house of international and pilgrimages and all that good stuff. And a lot of times when the moon is in the third house, the moon is highly phasal, right? It moves through many phases and it moves only 2.5 days per sign. There's a lot of variability in your travel, a lot of you know how people go back to the same place every year? You probably are going to be more widespread and have more daring do and adventure, right? If you work in the online world, the moon here is powerful. It's popular appeal with the masses in the land of social media. So I want you to ask yourself if that's true, if you're in the social media landscape, and to some degree, you're able to capture the eyes of the attention of the public. And same thing if you were a writer, you could be quite successful here. A moon phase matters, but just moon in the third is an indication of success in writing and maybe even in the ninth house in publishing as well. 10 houses from the moon is your sixth house, which means this is a place where you strive to accomplish. You strive to accomplish better health and remove illness from your life. You strive to be a good employee if you're employed, and you strive to be a good employer if you're employing others. You strive to have a debt-free life, or if you have debt, to pay it off diligently. You strive to be able to have a pet, love a pet, and nurture a pet because there is a sense of accomplishment and a sense of successful worthiness when you are able to be the owner of a pet and a good caretaker. If you do not have a pet, it's good for you to have a pet. If you don't have a pet, get a pet. However, on the other hand, if your mother relationship's tortured and you haven't healed it, you might get a pet and neglect the pet. Okay, I got a terrible story. My moon is in the third house. My mother relationship was probably challenged when I was a little girl, and I got a pet frog, and I didn't feed it enough. I found it as a tadpole, and it passed away, and I buried it because I couldn't catch flies daily with my homework schedule. I was like 9 years old, and this was a big trauma, right? That I killed the pet frog, right? Oh my God. So your healing is to love your pets. So my healing was like literally my 16-year-old dog, Delilah, holding her and staying up with her all night the night she passed away. And then I was with her. She was old and frail. She was getting ready to leave. She hunger striked herself out. And I went to bed. I was with her till midnight or 1 in the morning. I went to bed at 3 in the morning. I woke up and I heard she's gone or she left. And I went to check and she had passed away in her dog bed. So there is this feeling that there's a lot of psychological, spiritual healing that you can do with and through your pets. And it can be very healing and remedial about your mom relationship as well. So getting a pet is almost like getting a good therapist for all of those moon in the third house people. Let me know if that resonates. I'd love to hear back from you. What about the moon in the fourth house? At the pace I'm going, I'm going to be here for 1,000 years. The moon in the fourth house is an ideal placement because this is usually in Vedic astrology, the mother house, right? The moon in the fourth house, therefore, is in her home kingdom. The fourth house represents like her happy place. The moon in the fourth house represents the midnight hour. The midnight hour is the darkest part of the sky, is the fourth house archetypally. And the moon here is where the moon belongs because you only see the moon in the dark, in the midnight hour, when that's how we see our moons. So I think that you're going to feel for the most part that this was your mother being a good mother. Now, that's not always true. She could have stayed at home, been a homemaker, a domestic mom, but maybe you have moon, Saturn conjunction, squaring Mars in your chart. And that means that, yeah, she stayed at home or she was at home or a home mom or something like that. But yeah, it was still hard, right? It depends on your IC, but some of you in the floating whole sign house system may have the root of the chart here, the IC-MC axis going through houses 410, right, in whole sign houses, because otherwise you can't use this tool. This is why we want whole sign houses. If that's true, the IC in the fourth house, it's the ancestral roots of your whole ancestral line. With the moon there, the mother's line is preeminent. I want you to think about how if your IC, MC is there, your IC, your mother's line defines your career. Your mother's ancestral line, you're here to redeem, you're here to heal and take that lineage further and to move the matrilineal line to the place it never reached, because you're going to take it there. You are literally the lead goose of the mother's lineage, okay, with the moon in that fourth house. Your professional and accomplishments and purpose in life become hooked to a chain of mother's line, grandma, great grandma, maybe even aunties up the line, all behind you, all pushing you forward, all cheering you on, even if your mother relationship was difficult. Doesn't matter. The ancestors are cheering you to take something further, to break family patterns, to unchain the family line so that you benefit the lineage that becomes yours after you, the down line. Sometimes moon in the fourth house, you love to nurture and nest the people you live with. Like you're like fluffing the pillows, vacuuming the floor, cooking the dinners. You like to entertain in the home, to nurture others in your home. You might want to start an Airbnb. You might want to be the hostess with the mostess in the home, and there's a sense that a lot of times moon in the fourth house, people get involved in land, property, and real estate professions, helping people buy homes, sell homes, giving people homes, And so, it varies, right? If Venus was there with the moon, you might be a home designer, a decorator. But there's a sense that there's a lot of focus on things to do with your shelter, food, home, safety. And you might be extremely compelled to nurture others in that environment if your mother relationship was a good one. Now, the moon is witnessing the 10th house, and the moon is in the dark night, midnight hour. And the moon is like, oh, yeah, depends on your phase of your lunation. But the moon is seeing that there is a career, there is something you could be doing, you should be doing, might want to be doing, right? And so the moon does suggest that the 10th house, this career space, is a priority, and other people will come into your life to support that for you. You like the way you get career is friendly, nurturant, supportive, feminine people may wander into your reality and find the next best job for you, or give you a tip or a clue. And then because the moon is also connected to the first house, because it's 10 houses from the moon itself, the biggest accomplishments for you are selfhood. It's understanding who you are and maximizing your simulation avatar character, and as well taking care of your body. And when you are wholesome in your self-care and your body is well and healthy, and you've nurtured your own self emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, the way this simulation character feels needs to be feeling nurtured by life, not just by you. Nurtured by life. You will feel most at home when you're at home in a marriage partnership in which your partner is nurturing you, because you could be easily nurturing everyone else because you're so busy with that I'm the mother hen in the nest. If you're going to have a baby, right, and you're female, you probably want to spend more maternity leave than most mothers, because you really do sense the importance of, what that little infant will feel if you're around and your energy is present for your child. And when it's not like that, maybe you're afraid to do that. Maybe you want to stop breastfeeding after a month or something. Look to your own mother wounds, because your natural inclination for the most part will be to be the best mom you can be. But also you have to be the best mom you can be to yourself. And if you're a guy, then the best parent you can be to yourself, as you also can parent your children wholesomely. All right. One more thing. There's a possibility moon in the fourth will be that at the end of your life, when you're a little old lady, or a little old man, there will be lots of sources of nurturance around you. You won't be all alone, with no one to take care of you. There will be a nurturant someone in your life there when you're older, even when you're passing. The 8th house is the death house, like the circumstances of your final breath. And you have the moon, to some degree, you have some nest of nurturance and comfort around your end of your life, right, when you're ready to leave. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about the moon in the 5th house. If you're liking this content, please like and subscribe. And for each of you, share in the comments some of your experiences here. I'd love to hear them. Now, if you have the moon in the fifth house, you are naturally going to want to be creative because it will bring emotional satisfaction to you. You'll feel that you are alive and you're at peace, and your contentment can arise through the archetype of creativity. Now, creativity and art are not the same. To be a creator, could be a mad scientist, right? You could be a genius engineer, and you can be an artist. So the archetype of generative energy, to generate something new, to create something from nothing, is the fifth house. That's why we conceive children there. It's the womb of the chart. It's the place of the natural talents and gifts you were born to express, and it's therefore where you find the most satisfaction when you're able to express the talents you were born to express, and when you're also using those hobbies, which is also the talents you're born to express. So that's a nurturant feeling for you. It feels good to do that. You feel contentment in that pursuit of the hobby or the talents and gifts you're here to express. It's classically a house we associate with performers and actors and artists, and so you may be any of those things, which is wonderful, and therefore your emotional satisfaction is there. If you were an actor with the moon in the fifth house, you'd be Meryl Streep. You could cry on a dime. It'll be known for your ability to emote freely. Well, the director is filming and everyone's looking at you, and you can emote as needed as a performer. If you are a performer, or you have some kind of ability that you wish to captivate the attention of the public, the moon can represent the public, you're probably pretty good at it, right? A comedian, performer, dancer, singer, I don't care. You have a natural way that you can compel the public to notice you. You can get on that stage and people will notice you. This is the house of romantic love. You want romance. You need romance. It's not the same. I talked about it for another earlier sign here, another delineation before this. It's more like you're naturally resonant with emotional wellness when you are in a romantic relationship, right? Even if it doesn't last. You might be in love with falling in love. You might be in love with the idea of being in love because it brings a kind of narcotic peace and joy and ease into your life. And I said narcotic because you have to watch for that. I don't know your lunar phase, right? A full moon person, the narcotic of love can be almost like a drug, right? You will chase it. You will want it, like you want mama's teat, like you want the mother to love you, like you want to be nurtured by mama. So I'll use an example, please. It's the only one that comes to mind. Don't take it personally, but Donald Trump's moon is in the fifth house. His mother was a very pivotal character, but he was put into a timeout corner in health challenges. No, his brother had health challenges and his mother was absent when he was very young. So the craving for mother's love and attention may have driven on many of his actions that we've seen through his multiple marriages and maybe non-marriage activities. We don't know. So if you have a compulsion for romance as a drug to soothe you, look at your mother relationship. She doesn't have to be alive. Heal it inside of you first. Go to a therapist, go to a shaman, do the work. If you have a healthy mother relationship, you probably have a healthy relationship to romantic love. It's more in balance and harmony. If you have the fifth house, you want your mama to love your lover, right? You want mama to love your lover. Like, no way you're going to go down with mother hates my lover, mother hates my partner. So there is this prioritization then, it's not that you're fixated, but if your mother is at odds with your romantic life partner, then you're going to feel ill at ease. So you're always kind of looking for that place where mother and lover are liking each other. Let me know in the comments if you've experienced that with the moon in the fifth house. There is pleasure in the fifth house. There's enjoyment in the fifth house. This is a place where your emotions are important. If you are mopey and unsatisfied, depressed and anxious in life, if your mind is running away with you, which it does for everyone, find something enjoyable and pleasurable as in meditation. Don't sit on your haunches trying to get enlightened and try to get still in your mind. Do a pleasurable activity or hobby, because like knitting, or if you love, pleasurable activities, can be anything. It could be walking on the beach. It could be yoga classes. You can find that more still peace point and emotional satisfaction in the pleasurable activities of life than in sitting still in a meditative posture if you don't find pleasure in that. Okay? That's a good tip for you guys. I think that moon in the fifth house, finally, you make a great mother. Right? You make a great mother or a great parent. Let me correct that. You make a great parent. You're going to nurture your children. You will want to have children. You will want the experience of parenting, even if it's not your own children. Now, moon in the fifth house means that you will be close to your children more than most people are often. And at the end of your mother's life, you may mother your mother. So you may become a parental figure to your own mom at the end of your life, her life. Like, you'll nurture mom, you'll help mom pass. You'll be like, here, mom, you need a cup of water. And, you might be very engaged in hospicing a parent, particularly a mother. So you're going to be there for the mother and be a parental figure towards the mother as the mother ages in this incarnation. Not all of you, but many of you will. The moon is looking, of course, at the 11th house of good spirit, the career space for the gains of career and long-range goals and dreams and plans. But it also means that you'll attract friendship groups and circles that are nurturing to you. And you want to make money in your career in ways that are emotionally satisfying. If you are making money and you're unhappy in the way you make it, you're probably not going to stick with it. That's for sure. The moon also is going to connect 10 houses away to the second house of earnings. This is going to indicate that earnings and possessions are important to you. The I have quality of life. You strive to have things in your life that you want, with the caveat that you find enjoyment and pleasure in them. This is a kind of placement, for example, if you want to possess a car or a sofa or just a bigger bank account. It's got to be comfortable, right? That sofa, that car, forget sexy and sleek with hard seats. You want everything to be comfy as all hell. And you want to be comfortable in the way the money is accumulating in your life. So comfortable emotionally, right? So, say that you want to get a job as an assassin because it makes, you make $1 million a year, but you realize you're not comfortable unaliving people, right? It's not going to work for you, right? So there has to be an ease, an emotional comfort, a mental quality of clarity without turbulence in the way you accumulate money and the types of possessions you accumulate. Again, it's not enough to have a beautiful sofa if it is hard as a rock to sit on, right? That's you. Your possessions bring a sense of comfort to your life. Moon in the fifth house, you love your pleasures, but you strive for second house food. Now, that can be comfort food. It can be comfort food because what you eat is the second house, and what you smoke and what you inhale. But you're also going to look for ultimately not just nurturant and satisfying ways of eating, but ultimately you're going to try for healthy. Now, it may take a lifetime. If your mother relationship is simpatico, you naturally find pleasurable, satisfying food styles that are tasty and healthy. If you are in a bad relationship with mom and haven't worked through the healing yourself on your own end of it, mom doesn't have to participate, you're probably eating mac and cheese every day, right? And that's great once in a while, nachos, ice cream. So watch what you're eating, moon in fifth house. Are you overriding health for pleasure? And if so, why? It's like an escape hatch. Food can become a drug for you, okay? So look for uncode that with the mother story. Moving on to moon in the sixth house. And how long is this video? Getting long. Moon in the sixth house people. Satisfaction in work is essential. Emotional satisfaction in work is essential. If you work in an office space, you might be the nurturant one, the one everyone goes to for advice, the one that is emotionally comforting your colleagues, coworkers, or your staff. Moon in the sixth house is about sickness. You want to pay attention to your health. Your emotional states run your sickness story. If you are emotionally content and you're mentally still, then you're healthy. If you're emotionally discontent, anxious and worried, and angry and fearful, those emotional states will take your health down. So one of the hacks for moon in the sixth house people is to take yourself into a practice of meditation or yoga or whatever it is that makes you feel calm, still, and peaceful. Think of the moon shining on a still lake, perfect reflection. Because if you don't, and your emotions are on high most of the time, independent of work, anything that causes you to be upset, you're going to find your health is going to be down the toilet. Pets are important. You will be okay if you have pets. You will be not as okay without them. Moon is where you want to nurture, and this is a house of domestic animals and servant animals. Like, you work on a farm and you have sheep, and the sheepdog is herding the sheep, right? That's how we got these animals. They were helpers for humanity, servants. That sixth house is servitude and servants. You need servants. You're mostly satisfied when you have a maid to clean the house and a cook and a gardener. Now that sounds exotic, doesn't it? But actually that would serve you, because otherwise you'll become the servant. The pets are important. You know, the emotional contentment that comes with the animals in your life. And I mean domestic animals, but because the moon witnesses the 12th house of the large-legged animals like elephants and horses and giraffes and rhinoceroses. Probably if you're a horse person, that will work, right? Any animal energy, any non-human being, any animal entity that you can interact with at an intelligent emotional level will bring you incredible healing of illnesses and emotional contentment and satisfaction in life in general. Look as well to debt situations. A moon here could represent you have debts to pay in this life karmically. And therefore, it's not just like, oh, I'm with this friend and this friend is gnarly as all hell. Or my husband, it was like a crucible. I almost like died in the crucible of this horrible marriage. Stop the presses. Moon in the sixth house people, you have contracts. You have a lot of karmic contracts here. You got to fulfill them. Right. The moon is those fated circumstances of life. That's why it rules the north and south node of destiny, that where the eclipses happen. It is going to propel you into many karmic debt relationships to complete something that was never finished in other lifetimes. So be aware of that and be more patient with yourself. If you keep asking yourself why you're attracting certain types of people, eventually you'll move past the karmic debts and into the karmic rewards. Do service to others. Seva. When your moon is in the sixth house, the more helpful you are without need for recompense, for payback, the better you're going to be as a soul. You're going to move through life generating this sense of goodwill to all. And as you serve others humbly and kindly with emotional contentment, whether you're the housekeeper, the assistant to the boss, whether you're serving in a soup kitchen when you're retired, whether you are, it's the act of being of service to others. Even if you're paid, you're doing the service for service's sake, there is a clearing of karmic debts immediately happening there for you. So when you are crunchy and it's all about me and I am not going to help anyone else, then you're going down the wrong track. And look to your mother relationship. If you have a wounded mama relationship, then you are probably not going to do the right things. Get a pet, right? Be of service to others cheerfully with goodwill. It's funny that servitude and indentured servitude is there in the sixth house, slavery, but it's also really good for you in terms of rental property. Now, you could be someone who rents property, a property manager. You may own Airbnbs. You might be the landlord. You could be that. But you could also be somebody who prefers to rent properties rather than to buy, or that you get great satisfaction through the rental archetype. I want to rent a lease a property to live in. And that's quite okay for you. You might find that even better and more enjoyable than having to settle down into one property forever. All right. Sometimes you might attract female adversaries, women who are like not good for you. They cut you down. They can act like an adversary, like an enemy. And therefore just be cautious around that. Be watchful of, does this woman, and because the moon is a female, does this female person have in my best interest at heart in this workplace, in this job, in this neighborhood, in this coffee clutch, in my friendship groups especially? And ask yourself if you're being discerning right there, because the sixth house is a discernment house. So discern the friends you're with, discern the people in your life. Some of them, especially women, may be undermining you. And so just look, don't get paranoid, of course, but eventually, people show you who they are, not by what they say, but what they do. And so if you're friends with a female and she says all nice things to you, but then undercuts you in the same breath. Yeah. Like in an action that's undercutting, get rid of them. That's a karmic relationship that you don't need. Now, the sixth house activates the 12th house of spiritual liberation, moksha all the way. This can be a very strong placement that inclines you towards spiritual seeking, pilgrimages, questing, gurus, deep spiritual knowledge. So the moon here can bring you into contact with those stories, and it will be very resonant for you in this lifetime. When the moon is in the sixth house, it's going to activate the 10th house from the moon. And the 10th house from the moon will become a place of your striving. And that will be your third house. So you will strive to be emotionally satisfied and content by activations of the third, which can mean you want to be successful in short distance travel, learning, a thirst for knowledge, skills-based knowledge and learning. Maybe you want to educate others. Maybe you want to succeed in a way that because you're writing or you're communicating. And the third house energy, sometimes it can look like you are very striving for emotional contentment in sibling relationships, okay? That if your sibling relationships are qualitatively awful, then you're not feeling good. And if you're somewhat better, you're feeling okay. And if they're great, you feel super sweet about it. Your sibling relationships are karmic, as everything is for you. Take your sibling relationships with a grain of salt, of course, but it would be likely the firstborn sibling that is the most important for you to cement the sibling one under you in age. You want to cement the love there, right? You want to increase the joy there with that sibling to open up a corridor of ease and harmony and peace and mental stillness in your life. Even if you do it within yourself, like a forgiveness ceremony, ho'opono, ono, or whatever, the Hawaiian thing, I love you, I forgive you, whatever, it's okay, whatever that thing is. If you have thought to yourself, ever thought to yourself, that you have something you want to write, then don't stop. Do it. Think about doing it. Don't give up, right? You'll feel at home in yourself if you write something important. I don't care if it's published, guys. It doesn't have to be. It's just that you wrote it down, right? Your journal, dream journal, morning pages. Use the arc of writing to be a soul-soothing endeavor, and a sense of satisfaction and striving will bring a sense of completion and contentment through the archetype of note-taking, journaling, writing, dream journaling. Take your pick, especially dream journaling in your chart. All right, what about the moon in the 7th house? Spouse. What are you going to do? Oh my God, what are you going to do with that spouse thing, right? Watch out. You're going to look for your mother in your spouse. You want your spouse to be your mother, or you become your spouse's mother. Either which way, it's a darn danged nightmare. I had a marriage with a guy who had the moon in his 7th house, and I was always competing with his idea of what the perfect mother would have been when he grew up, which was the mother who would pay attention to him. And any lack of attention from me became a problem. Any lack of attention, right? Just when I wanted to do my own thing. So this is something you really have to work with, moon in the 7th house, because the upside is popular appeal with the masses, putting something into the world that the public loves in the audience, marketplace, fan club, having some success in your career if you're working with a lot of people, the public. But unfortunately, in your long-term committed love marriage type stories, the moon is your mother in the marriage house. Just think about moon in the marriage house. That doesn't like go so well, right? That's like not, incest isn't best, right? So what do you do with that thing? Well, first of all, if you love your mother and you have an okay relationship and there's no problem, or the mother figure that raised you, then the moon in the 7th house may attract somebody that has the best qualities of your mom. Like you'll tend to find partners. You thought your mom was cheerful, loving, and kind. And then all your partners are cheerful, loving, and kind. Your mother was lean, fit, and ambitious. And you love that about her. And your partners are lean, fit, and ambitious. So if you were to write down, without thinking, the 3 things I love about my mom the most, those qualities should show up in a spouse. If you don't get along with mother or figures like a mother who raised you, like grandma raised you instead, or someone important in your life, but particularly the mother is important. Mother abandoned you, right? You will replicate abandonment stories. My mother left and walked out when I was 5. Okay. Watch every marriage partner abandon you, right? 3 primary human wounds are shame, betrayal, and abandonment. I didn't write that. The emotion codes guy did. If you have a shame, betrayal, or abandonment story regarding your mother relationship, your partner in love will do that over and over again. Okay, so you got to watch that one. How to fix it? Heal, forgive, and let go of the mother story. Let it go. She did her best. She was terrible. I get you were wounded. Don't hold on to the trauma. Don't hold on to the pain. Sincerely let it go. You don't need her participation to heal it. You can heal it yourself. Shamanic journeys, journaling, therapeutic, cathartic, psychological stuff. Do what you need to do. Your mother is going to be your mother, bad or good. Your partner doesn't need to be your mother or contrast your mother. Sometimes when the moon is in the seventh house, you'll attract the anti-script. You really didn't like your mother because she was, mean and vain and overweight. So you go with the nice, skinny, and humble mate. You want the opposite of mother. You see what I'm saying? So start to inspect the relationships you've had. Tell me in the comments, have you seen the mother role play out in primary long-term love relationships because of the moon in the seventh house? Let me know. I'd like to hear. Have you produced things that are popular with the public and you interface the public well? Moon in the seventh house. With the moon in the seventh house, the moon is looking right at you, right? The ascendant, the first house. And there's a reflective light. What does that mean? When you think about the moon, it's a reflector. It doesn't have intrinsic light. So it's kind of also mirroring you, shadow work style, back at yourself. Go read some shadow work books like Google Robert Johnson and shadow or something, because the archetype of the shadow work of Jungian stuff is that, everybody in our lives is a reflection of who we are. Like if I attract mean people, I haven't owned my inner mean girl, right? So if you're attracting negative business partners, marriage partners, clients, audience, or people you don't like, look at yourself. There's a disowned part of you that can be mean, that can be gnarly, that can be a betrayer, whatever. Look inside of yourself. All right. So the moon is also going to position itself from the seventh at 10 houses away as your fourth, and the fourth house is your home. You need to have a home. Home is important. Home is where the heart is. But it feels like an accomplishment for you. Other people just have a home. The career is their accomplishment, right? No, home is your accomplishment. You feel accomplished because you have a home. And without a home, you feel like you didn't accomplish what you're here to do. I mean, you don't feel successful without a home. And ideally owning a home, to possess a home based on your chart. But even just having a home, whether you possess it or you rent it, it doesn't matter. To be homeless would be the archetypal failure wound for you, right? You need to be in a home, at home, in a home. You need to have a nest. And stability in the nest matters. And a lot of the nest stability is dependent on your significant other. So there is a quality in which you will attract or try to attract mates who don't mind living in one place for a very long time, right? Like you want to find someone else who likes the idea that this is our neighborhood, this is our home, we're going to raise our kids here, we're going to do this here. Home is essential. You might be really A-okay in a real estate career, selling, buying, property resale, managing property, because you're interfacing with the moon in the house of audience and clients, and 10th from that is property and land. You might have a natural ability to work in that field of endeavor. Not all of you will. So many other circumstances, phase of the moon matters. But a lot of you might find that in real estate and property transactional fields of career purpose may be easy for you compared to other people in general. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about moon in the 8th house. Moon in the 8th house people are occultists, tarot, numerology, and astrology. Psychic ability. You are naturally intuitive. If your moon is anywhere in a positive flow to Mercury or Neptune or both, trine, sextile, you're a superpower psychic energy. The moon in the 8th house, you're naturally emotionally content in the realm of the paranormal, the supernatural, and the spooky. You're probably pretty good at keeping secrets close to your chest and vest because you feel emotionally satisfied by keeping what is private and secret, especially regarding the ancestral line, family of origin material. Moon people in the 8th house may have a difficult mother relationship in the sense that you may notice that your mother is somehow absent in your life. You could be two ships passing in the night. She could have passed when you were young. She may have been sort of invisible to you, and you were invisible to her in some way. And if that's true, let me know in the comments if you sense that with your mother relationship. There's a lot of karmic implications to the 8th house, so there may be a deep karmic connection to her as well, whether she was fully present or not. Moon in the 8th house people, you guys are really good with books, accounting, numbers, because you feel emotionally satisfied and comfortable by putting everything into order, by understanding the mechanics of chunky money, investing in the markets, loans, refinances, financial stuff, escrow, accounting, banking, industries. But you would only do that because there's an emotional fulfillment there and you find yourself content in that environment. It's not that you have a talent, but you feel contented there. There's a lot of intuition here for you in this lifetime with that lunation there. It depends on your chart whether you resist that or you open up to it. Okay, so it's up to you whether you're going to open up your intuitive eye, your third eye, your psychic ability, or you're going to keep it shut. Keep it shut. Yeah, you might miss out on the best part of being here. You guys are the natural wonder workers. You are the mediums, the seancers, the ones who can see beyond the veil, who can channel an archangel. Take your pick. You just have more of a lunar view of the realms, of the hidden realms, of the occult mysteries and the other dimensions and the land of the dead. If you had a balsamic moon in the 8th, you're just a natural seance meister or some kind of medium of some sort. Let me know if any of you have that experience with the moon in the 8th house. I'd love to hear. There's a possibility that one of life's lessons for you is betrayal, particularly regarding emotional difficulties in relationships where you feel betrayed by your partner. It doesn't have to be sexual betrayal, infidelity. It could be many types of betrayal. So you might be learning some lessons around finding peace and stillness and harmony within yourself, no matter what other people do to you, So life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. Find some good memes to work through that. This moon in the 8th house really is going to call you at some point to spiritual awakening. This is the most important thing for you because your egoic identity and structure of your mind, I am Laurie, I am a mother, I am the way we make a story in our minds about our identity is going to bring you lack of satisfaction if you stick with it. The moon will open up the potential of liberating yourself from your egoic structures. Yes, like the power of now, Eckhart Tolle, take your pick. Find that path. Find that path in this lifetime of spiritual awakening and liberation for your emotional contentment, for your deep satisfaction. You are the people who need to use that power of the mind intuitively rather than just I'm thinking, I'm worrying, and I'm fretting, and I'm crying, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm mad. I say to my daughter, I love you when you're angry, I love you when you're mad, I love you when you're happy, I love you when you're sad. I used to say it when she was a little girl because emotions come and go. They're like cloudscapes through the sky, right? You are not your feelings. They just come passing through you. And your biggest spiritual lesson is to recognize the mood that you are in is just passing through you because underneath that is something still, calm, ever present, and unchanging, and that's who you really are. So your path is to wake up to that spiritual truth in life. So if you choose to accept the assignment, you may have a spiritual awakening or two in this journey of life. The moon is opposite your second house, looking at the earnings house. The moon may want you to consider that this is a life in which you can earn money and possess money through emotional satisfaction and finding paths of emotional contentment in the way you save money. But the moon also can project to you the idea that you can also receive money, inheritance money, especially from the matrilineal line. So money from mother's side of the family may come, and also money from your in-laws. If you're married, then money from your in-laws may occur in your life. So in-law money and your own family of origin money, especially on the mother's side, can be another source of satisfaction for you in this lifetime or contentment for you in this lifetime, right? So either one. Your 5th house is 10th from the moon, and this is where you want to strive for accomplishment. This is where you wish to achieve something and be seen for achieving it. Moon in the 8th house people ultimately would like to express creativity, generative things like business ideas, entrepreneurial skills. They might want to start your own business. You might also want to look at your striving directed towards fulfillment of your natural talents and gifts that you were born to express, especially from your mother's line. Everyone in my mother's line was a writer, a singer, a performer, a mad scientist, a professor. And if that was natural gifts that your mother's line held, you might feel compelled to express those in this lifetime as well. Even if it's not your main career, you might do it as a side hobby or hustle. You might want to express yourself through children. Now, be careful with this one because it can mean that you have a goal in life, which is to have children, but it can also mean that you wish to live your life through your children. And so look at the deeper layers there. Are you trying to live your life through your children? That's not great. Don't be like, the stage mom or something. Or does it mean that you perhaps just will find emotional contentment in having children to nurture. Whether they're your own children or not is irrelevant. Of course, romance is the fifth house. Of course, romance is there. And you might really be looking for a very profound spiritual connection and love. You are striving for your romantic partner to share either your own mystical, magical qualities, your occult mystery knowledge and wisdom, or are you just looking for somebody that you really feel that deep karmic bond to and a deeper spiritual connection with? So you're not looking for any old relationship. You're looking for that quality of a real spiritual resonance with the one you're with, a mystical spiritual connection to the one you're with, a karmic connection to the one you're with. The moon is mater, mother, and materia. It's material resource energy. The fifth house is good fortune, especially in gambling, speculating, bingo hall, casino, lottery tickets, risky stocks, speculating, gambling. If you are moon in the eighth house, some of you win money in this life, okay? Some of you pull it off. Let me know if that's happened for you, if you have the moon in the eighth house. All right, let's talk onwards. We did moon in the eighth house, and now we're talking about moon in your ninth house. The moon in your ninth house is all about God. Yes, I said the word God. It's the spiritual energy of the Divine Father. It's Father Sky. You want to know God in this life, and you want to be emotionally satisfied by knowing the divine in this life through knowledge and wisdom, book learning and scriptures, scrolls and parchments. You're here to understand. This is like a yoni energy. It's not bhakti devotion. You want to know God through your mental learning, teaching, reading energy. Emotional satisfaction comes with spiritual practices connected to lineages. I do the whirling dervish. I meditate like a Zen monk. You're best off to be more emotionally secure and satisfied when you find a path of spiritual attainment that has been well trod before you, where there is a road there that you can follow, right? Whether it's you're Christian, you're Catholic, you're Jewish, whatever you're doing, you're Muslim, find the path before you, that came before you, and tread it with that moon. Now, of course, there's different lunations, right? A new moon might break away from the old path, whereas an old balsamic moon might follow it. So we're not talking the full reading here, but in general, you need to find a spiritual path. This is a metacosmos, between the worlds house. How are you going to find a place between the worlds for your spiritual satisfaction? This is a Dharma house. Dharma is your life's purpose. How are you going to be activating purpose in this lifetime? Because, having a career is one thing, but feeling well purpose. Rumi says, I'm an arrow in your quiver. God, use me, shoot me, right? St. Francis says, make me an instrument of your peace. How can you be purposed by the divine? And that's going to be an important question in this lifetime, because you're born for a purpose. Your moon thinks you are. You know that emotional contentment and mental ease come because I'm feeling purposeful. So looking into that will be important. You'll be great satisfaction in learning, especially academia, ivory tower, colleges and campuses. You might be really propelled into industries like book publishing, but you're all doing it for the satisfaction and the emotional contentment. This is your mother in the ninth house. Mother archetype flowing to you in a trinal relationship. 9 out of 10 of you don't mind your mom. She's good. Like my mom, she was a good woman, is a good woman, whatever you say. So your mother relationship is supportive. She's in an applying trine to your ascendant. This means your mother was trying to support you. She was trying to be an ally. She was trying to help you grow and achieve and expand who you are in this life. You may be called to follow your mother's spiritual path and the ancestral line of your mom. So in other words, my dad was Jewish, my mom was Catholic, right? You might lean more into your mother's lineage when it comes to spiritual path of learning, knowledge, attainment, and practice. Some of you might want to be in legal matters. You might want to become a lawyer or be involved in legal and court and justice areas of reality for the emotional satisfaction, or focus on justice for the female, justice for mothers, or justice for women. You might have a lot of emotional satisfaction being the hand of the king. The hand of the king is somebody who works in executive capacity next to the person in power. Okay, so rather than being the CEO, you don't mind being the second in command or the executive assistant to those in positions of power. And you would find that very satisfying. Sometimes this could be where we have therapists, guides, coaches, and mentors, advisors, pastors, and preachers. Any profession in which you are guiding, counseling, or supporting other people, it may feel fulfilling for you emotionally, okay? Or professorial, you want to teach, you're emotionally satisfied by learning as well as teaching. International travel will bring you great emotional contentment. This is the house of foreigners, foreign places, visas, and passports, And you're probably going to go in this lifetime to travel because it does give you a very deep emotional satisfaction. Where other people travel because a spouse wants me to travel, or, whatever my girlfriend says, we should go to Margaritaville. You have a deeper need to travel. Your journeys, your adventures, your travels are important to your spiritual happiness, well, kind of your emotional satisfaction. So a lot of lunation people in the ninth house will not stay in their one country, or if they do, they might feel like, oh, I missed the boat. I always wanted to journey off to Paris, but I never left, Toledo, Ohio. You should take yourself on a trip. You should travel. It's going to help. You could be a librarian. You might like books. You could love libraries. Your mother could have been a librarian, or a book nerd, or bookworm. I mean, book knowledge, learning, wisdom, parchments and scrolls go in that direction. Yeah, get more than one degree in university or college. That's okay. You're the moon that does that. You fulfill yourself that way. The moon is looking at the third house, short distance travel, writing, college, skills-based colleges like, welding or something. The moon sees it. The moon's opposing it. The moon says, yeah, you could do that, but we like the erudite ivory tower, or we like to travel internationally, but I guess we could go to the town next door with a lake. You prefer the exotic adventure, emotionally satisfying for you. But you will want to attract a partner who loves to learn and loves to travel. There's that. And the moon in the ninth house, well, that means, of course, the 10th house from the moon is important to you, and that's your sixth house. You want to be of service in the work you do. You want to feel that the work you do and the career you pursue is emotionally satisfying. And you also want to be able to be connected to the idea that the work you do really helps other people. Now, it doesn't have to be all lofty, like you're going to be like, a saint or something, because you could in the ninth house be a saint. What you're looking for is emotional satisfaction, because you realize the job you're doing has meaning and purpose, and genuinely supports something helpful for another or a group of others. And if you feel that there's no meaning and it's not really doing anything to support and help others in a way that you define as my time and energy and help is worth the result, then you're not going to last. My daughter has her moon in the ninth, and I know this is a struggle for her. Oh, her son, forget it. No, that's another person I know has her moon in the ninth. But the emotional satisfaction is important, because ultimately the sixth house, 10th from the ninth, you're wanting to find the sweet spot between purpose and meaning and being of service in a way that feels satisfying. Pets are important for you, of course, emotionally. And I have to laugh with the moon in the ninth house. You'll probably order a dog. You either get a rescue animal or get a pet from a far off land, like a chihuahua left on the streets of Mexico or something. Your emotional satisfaction depends on being, in a sense of a way, a servant. But you can be a servant to many things, a cause, a person, but it's professional servitude. It's like you want to find the path of service in the work you do. And you need to have a job. If you were like, oh, I married a rich guy and I just sit around going to the nail salon every day, you're going to be very unhappy, right? Or a rich girl, and she's like, my sugar mama wife and something. I just stay home and vacuum the furniture or tend the children. That might not work. You're going to need a path of job in this lifetime. You need emotional satisfaction through livelihood. All right. That's a key for you. And when you're not working, you'll see what I'm talking about. All right. So good luck with that. Let me know in the comments what resonates and what doesn't. I'd love to hear. Moon in the 10th house, people. Well, this is your career. This is where you're at the top of the sky. This is where people see you doing something in this world. Your mother is up there. She's critically important to the career choices you make. And her example in her career influences you tremendously. If mother loved her career and you saw her succeeding, you are the you'll cookie cutter her success. You'll try to be like your mom. If your mother was down and out, never had a job, got fired, missed the boat, bad things happen in her career, you're going to accidentally take that imprint on. It's like the little duckies when they hatch and they look at the mother duck and then they follow the mother duck. But if they don't see a mother duck, they'll imprint on a human and follow the human around, right? So you're like imprinting quickly in this lifetime on mother stories. Now, it doesn't mean it all happens in the first 7 years of your life. Your mother could be 80 years old and a best-selling novelist, but she was an unhappy housewife growing up. So how mother over time emerges into your imprint as successful in a purposeful career path, accomplishment, professional success, is your ticket to success. If mother doesn't accomplish that, that's fine. But then you have to unwind your story, the code of if my mother is successful, I can be successful. If my mother is not, I'm not going to be. You have to unhook from that. You have to do some soul work. You have to do some, inner work. You have to consult your ancestral line on your mother's side, who may have also had failures in career as women. Maybe you want to do an honoring of the matrilineal line. Maybe you want to do ceremony around the matrilineal line, because you are the redemptor of that. You are the one who redeems the mother's line and brings the mother's line up to success. Whether you're a male or a female, it doesn't matter. You can be popular with the masses. I love this for you guys. Having public appeal, that's where your moon goes, right? And the 10th house is the stage or the top of the sky. Everyone sees you doing something up here. And so if you are wanting to be an artist, a performer on a stage, if you want to be well known, if you want to make a splash where everybody says, wow, look at that person, the moon was often in the 10th house. It's really a nice spot for people seeking an audience or a public for something that they're creating in this world for their professional endeavors. The moon up there, you need your emotional satisfaction tied to your career. You're not going to do okay without emotional satisfaction and career gendering together, like coming together, and generating a current of satisfaction. When you're in a career path or a job path that you are really unhappy in, you're really knowing that you missed something here. Heal your mother wound first. It's a code. It's a code breaking code. I'm teaching Code Breaker next year. Heal the mother wound, break the code, find the career path that's for you. If your mother wound is profound, and it's usually a mother wound about mother's lack of authority in the world. You thought, for example, if your mother was submissive to the father, if your mother never actualized her career path, or your mother seemed like a domestic servant under the burden of a patriarchal family system, and if that's the wound you're carrying, you can uncode that without your mother having to succeed, right? You just need to do a little soul work around it. Ironically, if your mother's alive and she had this like down and out career and nothing went right for her, or she was oppressed by a patriarchal force and had no authentic authority in your childhood, dad said, this is the way it is. Right? Your stepdad did. Mother never had a say. If anything happened like that, that's okay. But if you have a successful career, funny enough, your mother can succeed as well. So it's like an intertwined loop between the two of you. She's succeeding, you're going to start to succeed. You're succeeding, she'll start to succeed. So you got to code that with your understanding of your career directions and life and success. Sometimes when the moon is in the 10th, being a parent is your ambition. You want to be a parent. You're like excited to be a parent. You're thinking parenting is a good idea. Like that's an accomplishment that I'm parenting. Now the moon is witnessing, from a 10th position, the 4th house, and therefore there is a kind of home thing going on. Your home isn't in the home. The moon's in the top of the sky. So one of the things you're going to notice is that there may be a bit of a grit in the sand of your shoe when it comes to finding the home that you really want to live in. And it can even be homeland, right? Maybe you got exported from your homeland as a child. Maybe you want to live in a homeland rather than just home, and homeland questions will come to you. You may have a bit of a wound around that, or you might just be seeking to find one's true home. And quite often where you're going to be homing yourself in this life is connected to professional endeavors, right? So people move for very often for like marriage partnerships or other things, but the way you're going to be in your truest home will be connected to your professional endeavors that bring you into alignment with home. You may want to work from home. You might have an idea that your best career path is to work from home. And for some of you, that can be true, okay? By the way, you might nurture other people in your career, right? So, like, say you're a famous singer, then you'll help young singers come along. Say that you are working in a corporate setting, you want to nurture someone under you to succeed. Like, you want to be a motherly, nurturant force of goodness in the lives of people who you work with. So people will enjoy that about you, and you may enjoy being that person. From the lunation's perspective, the moon in your 10th house, 10 houses away, of course, is your 7th house. This is your marriage house, your business partners, your audience and clients. A moon in the 10th can mean that your professional endeavors put you in the face of the public, audience and clients. You're doing a lot of other people's stuff, servicing clients and audience and fans and marketplace, having to reach out to others. But the moon here also will prioritize your spouse, a spouse, and the spousal energy is critical for your ultimate satisfaction. Because if you're having a career, that's great. And you could have, again, all the features I told you of your career, and you could heal the mother thing to be the success you want to be in the world if you're not yet successful. But on the other hand, your long-term marriage partnership is your accomplishment. While you're having a successful career, you feel a striving to succeed in marriage. And this might mean you go the distance, that you emotionally persevere through hardship, that you're not going to give up, that you're going to work through emotional problems in a long-term love relationship because you want that to be a marriage. And marriage doesn't have to be legal, guys. A marriage could simply be that you stayed together for 40 years, okay? So there's that contentment through the long duration of agreement under the archetype of marriage, which is we're in it together, till death do us part. You're owning that space. You want that experience in life. And you will have that. If you are healed your mother's stuff, you'll have that, okay? If you haven't, you'll probably be disappointed. This is the code breaker class that I'll be teaching next year. Many different ways to break the codes of our chart and use those codes for our better good. Moving on. Moon in the 11th house. This is extraordinarily long. Moon in the 11th house is a story where you're looking at your satisfaction with your social friendship networks and groups being pivotal, and the relationship with a sibling, one older, being especially important to you. Ultimately, if you have a sibling one older than you, if you don't worry about it. One older than you in birth order, born above you in birth order. Now, your house of friends and social networks and groups of belonging and social influence are essential to your emotional well-being. Moon in the 11th house people who do not have satisfaction in social networks, friendship groups, and friends of belonging, chosen tribe of belonging, will be unhappy, right? You could be born with Chiron in the 11th house and feel like the outsider, and the moon in the 11th house tells you need to be satisfied with belonging and safety and comfort in friendship groups. So this is going to be an important life lesson for you to find that group that you trust, that feels safe, secure, that you feel like you belong, that you're nurtured and nurturant in that friendship circle and group. The moon in the 11th house is where you are looking for the emotional contentment and mental stillness that goes with finding the actualization of your long-range plans, goals, and dreams, plus the gains of your career. Like, I got a reward and award, the employee of the month. I got the perky office. I got a raise and promotion. I got social influence and celebrity, all of that. That's going to bring you emotional satisfaction, right? It depends on other planets about why you're driven to do those things, to be an influencer, to move the masses, to have social friendship circles that are so supportive and nurturant. Emotional satisfaction also can come, though, because you are able to intuit your way forward in your long-range visions and dreams, right? Sometimes you can do a pro-con list, and it's like, or you could get some book about mapping your next career steps. Or you can ask ChatGPT, who won't give you the right answer. No, sit still, go inward, use your intuitive mind, use your inner knowing to find the way forward, because the thinking and feeling moon isn't your gift. It's your knowing lunation that can allow you to see clearly under the lunar light what way you want to move forward in your long-range plans, dreams, and goals for your whole life. Women are important to you. Females will nurture you. Females will give you a leg up. In your career ambition, in your life story, look to women to be your supporters, your benefactors, and allies. Now you're going, what do you mean? Women undercut me. Women have undermined me. Women have betrayed me. That's your mother wound. Otherwise, women will support you, lift you up, nurture you, and take care of you. You got invited onto the Oprah Winfrey Show. I think it's no longer around because a friend who knew her, who is a woman, introduce you to her or put you up on the list of next guests. Your favors from people in high places come through the feminine, through women. I don't care how old those women are. The moon represents women. We have ovaries, okay? It's not complicated. Or we don't have them. We could have, And we have a certain chromosomal structure. You know what I'm saying, right? XX. So, yeah. So I think that's right. Ultimately, look to women to help you and support you and lift you up and give you a leg up and be a benefactor and a patron and an ally. And if that doesn't happen and women are undercutting you and you find your life full of venomous females, then you have not healed that mother wound. Mother is sextiling your ascendant and was trying her best to be liking you. She's in a house of cosmic and karmic reward. She was trying to be something good for you. If she failed to do that, because who knows why, your moon is conjunct Pluto, Saturn, opposite Mars, some very traumatic moon alignments or some kind of malefic stories. Okay, oh well, what do you do to fix it, right? You heal your mother wound. You don't need her help. Forgiveness, inner work, let it go. Just don't wallow in the trauma zone. It doesn't serve anybody. And something else, that mother energy is your sibling one older if you have it too. So mother and sibling one older will play similar roles in your life should you have a sibling one older. The moon is witnessing your fifth house of children and pregnancy and fertility. It's an opposition. There may be ambivalence about having children. There may be unknowingness, but you have not. The moon here can still have children, but you might be unsure that you're qualified to be a parent or that parenting will be emotionally satisfying for you. Okay? So you might think about whether you have children already. If you have children already, then how are you doing on that parenting front? Are you enjoying it? Are you finding satisfaction? The moon is witnessing the romance house. Sometimes it just means you're going to always prioritize emotional contentment through your social groups, and your significant romantic partners need to be embedded in that social environment. They need to be there too. It's not like you have your crew and your partner has their crew. You'd be better off if you all had the same social crew, the same social group, did fun things together, all of that. The moon is also connected to your archetypal muse, inspiration, and creativity. You want to apply some of that creativity, though, to how you express yourself in your career, rather than say just like a knitting studio in your downtime that no one sees your scarves. No. You want to use that inspired creativity in the way you dream a new career path into being, the way you express your gains of your career. Now, the moon also, and we take it 10 houses away, right? Just loop around the sky. And we go, the 10th house from the moon. What does that do in your reality for you? Because one thing I will say, although your moon is witnessing your 5th house from the 11th, which gives you this sort of a generative current of creative ambition and superpowered enthusiasm for your life and the work you're going to do. This is a very powerful axis, good fortune and good spirit. So you love the vibe of, look at me, I'm creative, I'm artistic, I'm generating fun, I'm entrepreneurial. Moon, you can be very content in an entrepreneurial path as well. The 8th house is 10 houses from your 11th. That's a story, right? There may be something going on in your achieving and striving and goal setting that brings you to 8th house matters. Now, one of the things about 8th house is to not make money on the hustle, but to rely on other people's money and shared resources. You may inwardly strive to be in a relationship with a wealthy spouse, to have in-laws who are wealthy. You may inwardly strive to be able to capitalize on inheritance monies in this life in order to be emotionally content. You may be striving to make money in investments and risky portfolios even. Like your whole orientation is to be speculative and risky as well when it comes to how to find financial contentment. Ultimately, though, the 8th house is a deep occult mystery house. It has so much of the magic there, the paranormal, the supernatural, the interdimensional, tarot, numerology, astrology. And it'd be unlikely you can escape that call. Like even if you don't go there professionally, there's something about that part of reality that calls you into focus. You will feel accomplished if you know just a little bit about how to read the tarot, or if you could feel really accomplished because there is something in your matrilineal line to do with the occult mysteries that was considered important on your mother's line, that your mother's line had a story going there, that we are women of the witches who use our psychic powers or something like that. Like dig in. Maybe you had Salem witches in your line. Maybe you had brujas, and maybe you had shamans. Look for your matrilineal lineage, because you're supposed to advance that forward. Whether you do it in the public eye, you probably won't, or not. You probably won't. It will be a thing you need to explore, because you're going to sort of advance mother's line forward, because your mother's line had those powers and those abilities and those interests. So in this life, you'll have many times you'll be called to be interested or curious about that reality, and you might want to move forward. Okay? Moon in the 12th house is an important placement for spiritual attainment. But it also means your mother may have been a little bit remote or distant, or you've had past lives with your mother. So there's a bit of all of those stories. Mother in the 12th house can feel like you've known her forever and she's so close to me because obviously we were married in a past life. You're going to have those stories. You will. But also, if that doesn't feel like it's true, then maybe mother was at a distance. Maybe mother felt like she was almost in another country or far off land from you. Maybe you felt not she was angry or mean, but just disconnected from you, or you felt disconnected from her, like a wall may have felt like there was a wall between you. People with the moon in the 12th house are really called for emotional satisfaction through introspection, solitude, contemplation, ashrams, spiritual teachings, and inner knowledge. This is a place of breaking free of the matrix. This is like Jesus walks on water, right? That kind of thing, heals the dead. This is Neo, like defying the laws of gravity in the matrix. You're emotionally pulled to be satisfied by exploring the deep ways that reality may not be real, and what is real anyway. And who am I in this thing, this Leela, this Maya, this illusion? What is this thing? Well, who am I in this? Your emotional contentment brings you to deeper questions here. Of course, your mom could have been hospitalized or in a jail cell, places of isolation and solitude. Your mom might have gone off to the ashram and never come home. But your emotional call is to go into those contemplative, solitudinous places within yourself. The moon here for some people can still bring some success, like by being on stage as a performer, emotional satisfaction by being seen by others in a stage-like presence. I know you're probably wondering why. The sun rises in the 12th house. So first and 12th. So ultimately you want to be like a star that rises, right? So you want to be a rising star. And so some of you may follow a rising star path and become involved in the entertainment or the celebrity industry, but be emotionally satisfied by being a rising star. At the same time, you're probably a rising star who's inherently shy and prefers to be alone, right? So it's a contradiction. When the moon is in the 12th house, you might be emotionally discombobulated when there are expenditures that are over your budget. Like you're like, oh my God, what do you mean we have to replace the entire plumbing in this unit or something? And all of a sudden you're like you lose it. You can't deal. You have to figure out a way to understand materia, mother, and money are all interconnected. If you loved your mom, she loved you. Well, we all love each other. But if behavior was good, your mother was well behaved, and you like your mom, then she didn't do anything really awful other than maybe not be present in your life like you would have preferred, then you're good, right? You're going to have those expenditures come and go, those expenses come and go, and you're going to roll with it. The tide goes up, the tide goes in, the tide goes out. The moon is full, the moon is dark, right? Cycles here, moon cycles. Times of great expenditures, less expenditures, ebbs and flows. Trust the process. If your mother relationship is complicated, you're probably always in an emotional overwhelm when things are out of your control financially. So pay attention to that. Now, a hack for you is to kiss the feet of the guru, is to give to charity and to follow the guru. So there's, find a teacher, find a spiritual guru, find a spiritual teaching or path, but also be charitable. If you're having financial struggles and your emotions are all kerfuffled, I don't mean give all your money to charity, but tithe. Find one charity, right? I've never not had a charity. My moon's not in the 12th, but I've always had 3 running charities. I got 3 going right now. Doctors Without Borders and Médecins Sans Frontières and all of that, just because I know that by being charitable on causes that I believe in, I'm also allowing the universe to give back to me, because I'm putting something away, giving it away for nothing. no recompense. More will come back to me. That's your code. Moon in the 12th house people. The more you are of service with your finances or even with your time, without expecting a return, the more ease you'll have around your money story. The moon is witnessing. Oh, you might move in this life to a country other than the one you live in. Your nest, your home may relocate from the country of birth within this lifetime. And you may settle into a foreign place in this lifetime. Moon in the 12th witness is the 6th house of work, debts, karmic debts, pets, all of that. Funny enough, the 12th house is horses. Give me another big animal: donkeys, ponies, sheep, bigger animals, four-leggeds. Quite possibly you're going to get involved in those types of animals. You could be mostly satisfied by working with in a stall, out raking the horses, or working in a place where there's larger animals, a zookeeper or something. You'll have more emotional contentment with larger animals than, say, domestic pets, that kind of thing. Sometimes when the moon is in the 12th house, you'll have hidden enemies who are women. It's like the moon in the 6th house can do the same thing. So watch for women who don't have your back. Be discerning. See that, are they really your friend or not, right? Hidden enemies who are female. Be careful. The 10th house from the moon is where you wish to strive for emotional satisfaction. And to you, that will bring those accomplishments will bring you a sense of ease and joy and satisfaction. And when I say, before I go ahead and say what I'm about to say, when I say ease and joy and satisfaction, I just emotional peace, emotional waters that are still, not choppy emotional and mental waters, still waters. Okay. You can accomplish and strive for and equal still waters is what I'm getting at. All right. That's what I'm trying to say. That's your 3rd house. When you are able to do the 3rd house stuff, you will be emotionally still. Well, that's siblings. So striving for harmony with the siblings you have is important, especially the sibling one younger, but siblings, cousins, aunts and uncles, but siblings in general. Harmony in those familial relationships bring you inner stillness and emotional contentment in a way. 3rd house is where you feel at home. You feel at home with your siblings. You feel at home when you're writing. But what you're striving for is that 9th house. And your 3rd house is the 4th house from the moon. And that's like, okay, I feel at home with my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, and siblings. If you don't, then by finding a way to feel at home with that crew, you feel at home in yourself. But the 10th house is your strival, 10th house from the moon, and that's your 9th house. So that would be seeking spiritual knowledge, religion, spiritual knowledge and wisdom, gurus, spiritual teachers, pastors and guides, mentors, all of that. Accomplishment can look like academia. The 12th house is alarmingly active of both learning houses, 3 and 9. People with that want to study. They like to be mentored more than they like to say just like jump into a weekend workshop. So you might attract mentors to you, guides who are teaching you something, whether it's a spiritual teaching, a tool teaching, an academic teaching. You attract that being mentored or being guided by others in order to learn something. And because the 9th house is what you're striving to attain, and it is a foreign house, and the moon is in a foreign house, some of you might be always like, I'm not gonna die in this country that I was born in. I'm getting out of Dodge. I'm traveling the world, and I'm gonna settle into another place when I die. That's my jive. You're okay with that. You're like, oh, life's an adventure. I want to travel, and then I want to settle somewhere. May not be your home base, right? That's the key. Very few people with the moon in the 12th house will settle as a little old lady or man into their home country. Some of you will, but many of you won't. All right. So seek mentors, seek guides, seek counsel in life. Don't do it yourself. The moon is seeking that as a striving place, the 9th house, and that equals success. Astrology can be connected to the 9th house. Some of you may be striving to learn astrology or any tool really, but astrology is particularly books of knowledge and wisdom, ancient libraries of knowledge. Those kinds of things can really call you. And purpose. You need to be on purpose, right? Because the 9th house is a strival for purpose, and your moon I feel so content because I'm in my dharmic flow. I'm doing something of purpose in this life. I'm right on my A game on my purpose front. Okay, this is what I got. This was a really long video, but I enjoyed making it. Please share this with your friends and family. Let this video go far and wide because this is my evergreen offering to the channel. And hopefully it does give you some understanding. Check my description box below for all of my courses. I'll see you guys around.
Lunatic Astrology.